Hello, viewers. Welcome to Jaipur Dialogue USA. And before I start, my request is please like, subscribe, and support our channel and give your feedback. We count on you. Today's topic is about April 15th and why it is important. And my thought process is that I'm jumping on a topic which is very tricky, talking about Islam. Because if you talk about Islam, you are immediately branded as a phobic, suffering from Islamophobia. But as an Indian American, as an Hindu American, our cultural roots lie in debate, dialogue, discussions. That's where you learn about things around you. And living in a democratic country, freedom of speech is the thing that matters to us. Actually, one of the states in America also has the state slogan, live free or die. So freedom is important. It's a very serious issue. So my intent today is to make an inquiry. We all want to live peacefully. Does Islam does Islam believe in its belligerent tactics to impose their will on others? And in the process, they are genuinely becoming a very unlikable group of people. It's a matter of concern. It ought to be a matter of concern. The reason why I say this is rooted in a few things that happened yesterday. Look, the world is always in conflicts. You will always be in disagreement with somebody or the other on some policy or the other. The issue is, how do we resolve the problem, right? That's where everybody wants to resolve the problem. Live peacefully, happily, without death, murders, and killings. So let's look at April 15th that happened. We know that last year in October 7th, Israel went through a horrendous attack in which brutality of killings are well known. What are the after effects of that? There is a war going on in Middle East, Israel and Hamas particularly. There is no country. There is an entity called Hamas, not a country. Remember that. Palestinian people are there. The issue here is, what is the shape of war going on like? The Islamic people worldwide have gone on a rampage of public protest against United States supporting its ally Israel in brutality of Hamas. The battle is going on. What is the shape and size of this entire struggle? You are looking at a street-wide demonstrations all over the world. Let's talk about America itself. In New York, in Chicago, in San Francisco, these three prominent places, you had bridges blocked, the Golden Gate Bridge blockaded by people, three cars, a few people blocked the streets on both sides of the traffic. You had Brooklyn Bridge here in Manhattan, which was having Hamas flags flying over there. Then you had, you know, what you call the Jewish Muslim girl who was invited to a Jewish professor's house for lunch, going on a rampage of freedom of speech, giving that in America must vacate Gaza and Palestinian killings. You had death to America chants by Iranians in America, in Chicago, in Michigan. Death to America. Living in this country, you are talking about death to America. What was Iran doing as death to America is one part of the story. But living in here and forcing the hand. So that's the important part. These people are now forcing the people to rethink their affection and like and the attitude towards the group of people. So imagine the number of people who were inconvenienced on April 15th. It was the tax filing day, last day of the filing of taxes. People will not forget these things. It will have an impact on the upcoming elections, both in America and India, because the belligerence of the Islamic people is somewhere along the line hurting them more than it is hurting us. Yes, it is inconveniencing us. If you threaten us that Jai Shri Ram is a war slogan and it is anti-Islamic, hey, what about your Allahu Akbar? So it is time has come for saner minds to come together to think that entire world can't become live in a state of continuous conflict. You cannot live in a state of continuous conflict because it will only introduce more and more belligerence and hardening of attitudes. No debate, no dialogue, no discussion, my way or highway. That's what is happening. And unfortunately, I say it unfortunately because Islamic people do not realize that. They think they are forcing their will upon us. There will be no reaction. There will be reaction. And there has been a real disappointment in America. I've spoken with many people. Uniformly, universally, people are wondering what kind of people they are. That unless the only way they understand things is by forcing and inconveniencing people for their reasons and acting victims. So here is the issue. Here is my gripe. You caused, Hamas caused all the problems, started the whole thing there. Now, there has to be a beginning point for every fiasco or a friction. There's a beginning point. October 7th was the reason that we are in conflict right now. Who started that? Now, you can go back 100 years in history or thousands of years in history. That's not going to solve the problem. At some point in time, you have to freeze and you have to say, why did this happen? So, you know the reason why it happened. My point is that was that necessary? Why was that done? The people who did attack on Israel, you know, they did it with a purpose. They are holding the hostages and asking for a disproportionate release of their own people. Five of Israeli hostages released or American hostages released. They want 500 of theirs. Convicted criminals, convicted terrorists by the due process of law. So when you do not process the law in the manner that it ought to be, but you do it as a convenience tool, then you are using freedom as a tool to attack democracies. And people are becoming aware of that. Everybody loves freedom. And when your freedom gets attacked, whether you are stuck on Golden Gate Bridge, or you are not able to take the flight in Chicago, or you are not able to go over the Brooklyn Bridge, or you see Hamas flag in America, when you say death to America, or this lady who was invited to a Jewish professor's house for lunch, and then she was giving a free speech talk on why that America must get out of Gaza. These are issues then people begin to worry about. Is a classic saying, what the hell is happening? Is you can't have freedoms and expression of your right by disturbing other people. You know, have a protest, but not at the expense of ordinary people who are trying to go to jobs or who are trying to manage their daily lives. It is going to have an effect in America in 2024 election. This is not the end of it. Even the elected representatives, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and others, her cohorts, they are going on a rampage, threatening their own president, own party president. Not only that, not only that, the protesters were blocking the Senate cafeteria. Look at the extent to which it is going on. Legislatures, congressmen, Congress, government offices, streets, bridges, tunnels. Guess who is getting angry? You and I. Now our freedom is affected. It's time for people to realize. And I'm telling this to Islamic people, and I say this with sorrow and regret, that you do not realize that you are making yourself unlikables. It's very difficult to agree to your point of view because you're perpetually victims. And sad. You know, everything that happens to you, you don't take responsibility for that. Everything that you do is fair because that's according to your laws. This uneven gameplay will not happen. If you're playing football or baseball, we have to abide by the rules of the game. If you are living in peaceful democratic societies, it's not perfect. There are a lot of problems in democracies. Politicians fight, they do all kinds of things to get their job done. But what you are doing is hurtful to you. It's time we began to realize that. Because the physics law will work and it will operate. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. At some point in time, it will. And I want to say this to appeal to all of you: get real. Every problem has a solution, but the way you are doing it, that's not the way. You might threaten, you might threaten, but threats don't work all the time. In India, you have all the problems with Hindus. In America, you have problems with everything else. That's not the way to lead a life. So, with these words, I would say stand for the truth. Let there be a dialogue, debate, and discussion about what is. If it's not, then it will have an electoral impact. There are already conversations, very serious conversation within Democratic Party itself, that these extremist agenda people, Tomar and others, must lose. Tlaib, not Tomar, Tlaib and others who are there, including one New York congressman, must lose because they are hurting the party. The moderation is going out. So, ladies and gentlemen, my appeal to Islamic people is your behavior is going to impact the voting decisions in all democracies around the world, United States and India, in the next few days. Let truth prevail. Thank you.